Shockwaves rippled across the Gulf as Iran launched a fresh and highly coordinated wave of strikes targeting strategic infrastructure across countries aligned with the United States and Israel. What initially appeared to be a limited retaliation is now transformed into a sustained and expanding regional confrontation, one that is no longer confined to military targets, but increasingly threatens global trade, energy security, and geopolitical stability on a massive scale. In the early hours of March 27, the conflict entered a new and alarming phase. Iranian drones and missiles struck key infrastructure in Kuwait, marking a significant escalation both in intensity and intent. These attacks were not random or symbolic. They were calculated, precise, and aimed at economic lifelines, ports, energy hubs, and transport systems that keep not just Kuwait, but much of the Gulf economy functioning. The first target was Shuaib Port, Kuwait's primary commercial gateway. As dawn broke, drones descended on the port, striking key facilities and causing visible damage. Thick smoke rose into the sky as emergency crews rushed to assess the situation. Authorities later confirmed that while the damage was material, there were no casualties. This detail, however, does not diminish the seriousness of the attack. In fact, it reinforces a growing pattern. Iran appears to be deliberately targeting infrastructure to maximize disruption while avoiding mass civilian casualties, at least for now. Shuaib Port is not just another maritime facility. It is the backbone of Kuwait's trade network, handling a significant portion of imports and exports. From food supplies to industrial goods, much of what enters and leaves the country passes through this port. By targeting it, Iran sent a clear message. Economic pressure is now a central pillar of its strategy. Just hours later, a second strike followed. This time, the target was Mubarak al-Kabir Port, a massive infrastructure project located on Bubiyan Island. The port, still under development, is designed to transform Kuwait into a regional trade and logistics hub, connecting it more deeply with global markets. The attack reportedly involved a combination of drones and cruise missiles, indicating a level of coordination and technological capability that has raised alarms across the region. Officials again confirm material damage but no casualties. However, the implications of the strike go far beyond immediate destruction. By targeting a future-oriented project like Mubarak al-Kabir Port, Iran signaled that its campaign is not just about present retaliation. It is about shaping the long-term economic trajectory of its adversaries. These back-to-back strikes reveal a clear pattern. Iran is no longer focusing solely on military installations. Instead, it is expanding its target list to include critical economic infrastructure. Ports, refineries, airports, and power grids have all come under threat, suggesting a broader strategy aimed at destabilizing the region's economic foundations. The escalation was not limited to maritime targets. Days before the port attacks, Kuwait International Airport was also struck. Iranian drones targeted a fuel storage facility, triggering a massive fire that lit up the night sky. Videos circulating online showed flames engulfing the area, with emergency crews battling to contain the blaze. Authorities quickly activated emergency protocols, and the fire was eventually brought under control. Once again, no casualties were reported, but the symbolic impact was profound. Airports are not just transport hubs. They are symbols of connectivity, stability, and normalcy. By targeting such a facility, Iran demonstrated its willingness to disrupt not just economic systems, but also the everyday functioning of civilian life. This shift toward targeting dual-use infrastructure, facilities that serve both civilian and military purposes, marks a dangerous evolution in the conflict. It blurs the line between war zones and civilian spaces, increasing the risk to ordinary people and raising serious concerns under international law. The roots of this escalation can be traced back to late February, when joint U.S. and Israeli strikes targeted Iranian military and nuclear facilities. Those strikes were described by officials as necessary to counter perceived threats. Iran, however, viewed them as acts of aggression and responded with a series of retaliatory attacks that have only grown in scale and intensity. Since then, the region has witnessed an unprecedented barrage of drones and missiles. Thousands of projectiles have reportedly been launched toward Gulf states, forcing countries like Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates to rely heavily on advanced air defense systems. These systems have intercepted many incoming threats, but not all. Debris from intercepted missiles has caused damage on the ground, knocking out power lines and damaging infrastructure. In some cases, entire neighborhoods have experienced temporary blackouts as a result. This cycle of action and retaliation has created a fragile and dangerous equilibrium. Both sides continue to escalate, but neither appears willing to cross the threshold into full-scale war. Yet with each new strike, the risk of miscalculation increases. A single incident, an unintended casualty, a misidentified target, or a failed interception could trigger a much larger conflict. At the center of this crisis lies one of the most strategically important waterways in the world, the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow passage connects the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea and serves as a vital artery for global energy supplies. Nearly a fifth of the world's oil passes through this corridor. Iran has issued stark warnings regarding the strait, declaring that it may block shipping linked to countries supporting the United States and Israel. Officials have described the waterway as effectively closed under current conditions, threatening harsh measures against vessels that attempt to pass through. The impact of these statements has been immediate and far-reaching. Oil prices have surged, reflecting fears of supply disruptions. Shipping companies are reconsidering routes, and insurance premiums for vessels operating in the region have skyrocketed. For countries heavily dependent on Gulf oil, the situation is deeply concerning. Any prolonged disruption in the Strait of Hormuz could have cascading effects on global energy markets, driving up prices and slowing economic growth. The ripple effects are already being felt beyond the Middle East. Financial markets have shown increased volatility, with investors reacting to the uncertainty. Airlines are facing higher fuel costs, while industries relying on stable energy supplies are bracing for potential disruptions. Within the Gulf, the pressure is mounting. Saudi Arabia has reported multiple drone interceptions over its territory, particularly in regions critical to its oil production. The United Arab Emirates has also activated its air defense systems repeatedly, successfully neutralizing several incoming threats. Jordan, too, has reported missile incursions into its airspace, highlighting how far-reaching the conflict has become. Each of these incidents underscores a simple but sobering reality. No country in the region is entirely safe from the spillover effects of this war. Kuwait's situation is particularly precarious. Geographically, it lies just across the Persian Gulf from Iran, with only a short distance separating the two countries at their closest points. This proximity makes it highly vulnerable to drone and missile attacks. Politically and strategically, Kuwait hosts a significant U.S. military presence. Bases such as Camp Arifjan, Ali Al Salem Air Base, and Camp Buehring serve as key logistical hubs for American operations in the region. These installations are critical to U.S. strategy, but they also make Kuwait a prime target in Iran's retaliation campaign. Iran has made it clear that any country hosting U.S. forces could face consequences. Previous strikes have already targeted military facilities within Kuwait, resulting in damage and casualties. The message is unmistakable. Alignment with the United States comes with risks. Beyond military and transport infrastructure, Iran's campaign has increasingly focused on energy facilities. Refineries such as Mina Al Ahmadi and Mina Abdullah have been hit in recent attacks, causing fires and forcing temporary shutdowns. These disruptions have had immediate effects on Kuwait's energy sector. Production has been reduced, and some areas have experienced power outages due to damage to transmission lines. Falling debris from intercepted missiles has further complicated the situation, hitting critical components of the power grid. Energy infrastructure is the backbone of Gulf economies. By targeting it, Iran is not just responding militarily, it is applying economic pressure that resonates far beyond national borders. The legal and diplomatic fallout from these attacks is also intensifying. Kuwait has lodged formal complaints with international organizations, including the International Civil Aviation Organization. Officials have described the strikes on aviation infrastructure as serious violations of international law, emphasizing the risks posed to passengers, airlines, and airport personnel. These complaints reflect a broader concern within the international community. As the conflict expands to include civilian infrastructure, the lines between legitimate military targets and protected civilian spaces become increasingly blurred. Diplomatic efforts to de-escalate the situation are ongoing but fragile. Several countries have called for restraint and urged both sides to return to negotiations. However, trust remains low, and the conditions for meaningful dialogue are not yet in place. Back-channel communications are reportedly taking place involving regional intermediaries, but so far, these efforts have not produced significant breakthroughs.
Both sides remain entrenched in their positions, with neither willing to make the concessions necessary for de-escalation. Meanwhile, the humanitarian dimension of the conflict continues to grow. While many of the recent attacks have avoided mass casualties, the potential for loss of life remains high.
The targeting of infrastructure increases the risk to civilians, whether through direct impact or secondary effects such as power outages and disrupted services. The situation in the Gulf is now at a critical juncture. What began as a series of retaliatory strikes has evolved into a complex, multi-layered conflict involving military operations, economic warfare, and geopolitical maneuvering. The attacks on Kuwait's ports and airport are not isolated events. They are part of a broader strategy that seeks to reshape the balance of power in the region. By targeting key infrastructure, Iran is attempting to exert pressure not just on governments, but on the global systems that depend on Gulf stability. As tensions continue to rise, the risk of a wider war becomes increasingly real. The Gulf remains on edge, with governments, businesses, and ordinary citizens all grappling with the uncertainty of what comes next. The world is watching closely. The outcome of this conflict will have far-reaching implications, not just for the Middle East, but for the global order itself.